thank you for being here. Now we come to the part of the contest where I will tell you more about the contest. In this contest that you'll find out more about in time to come, you stand to win phone vouchers worth 1,000 ringgit. For primary school students, you stand to win a 3-day, 2-night trip, all expenses paid trip to Universal Studios Singapore. And for the secondary school students, you stand to win a trip worth 50,000 ringgit paid entirely to the United Kingdom. As the NiE contest last year was called We Are Malaysia, and the concept is basically a public service announcement poster or ad, and it was on the theme of unity. What it means to be united as a nation. Okay, so the name of the contest this year is Game4Life, exactly. And the concept this year is the same as last year. You do a public service announcement poster or ad, and the theme this year is different. It's on sports as a vehicle for social change. What does that mean? I'll get into that later. But some of you might be asking, what is this public service announcement poster? A poster that contains a message for the public to raise awareness or to change certain perceptions, thoughts, or behaviors towards certain issues. So you're supposed to design a public service announcement poster or ad, or we'll just call it PSA in short. So your requirements, besides your image, you need to give us a headline, a body copy, as well as a slogan. So in a lot of PSAs you have these elements, and this example that I'm using now is actually a winning entry from last year. All of it must not be more than 100 words, or maybe just around 100 words. You can use drawings, that's fine. You can use your pencils, your crayons. You can use photographs, you can be a model for a day. Your friends as your model, that's fine. You can use Photoshop, that's fine as well. You can use a combination of all of it, that's also fine. But bear in mind that you must not plagiarize, so you cannot go to Google and just take the image from Google because it's not yours. No copyrighted material. So basically, if you do any of this, your entry will be disqualified. It's as long as your work is original, you are safe. So sports as a vehicle for social change. You can talk about various topics relating to sports, the most obvious one being health. So here's an article that came on the Star, motivating Malaysians to keep fit. So it's very obvious sports relates to fitness, to being healthy. Secondly, social values, social norms. How can people assimilate into society? So in this article, in the Commonwealth Games as well as the Asian Games, a lot of the athletes were not behaving properly. They were not abiding by the rules there. Maybe in Malaysia, you can get away with burning a bit of the carpet or whatever, because Malaysians are generally quite relaxed people. But overseas, they can be really strict. So when that happened overseas, they were saying, you need to learn to behave. And that came just before the SEA Games in Singapore. So that's one thing you can talk about, social values. Another thing you can talk about is education as well. How sports can teach really character education. So in this article it says sporty and self-assured. So they learn teamwork, they learn confidence. You can also deal with community and charity. How sports can be a vehicle for businesses, for companies to give back to society, how you can bring people together. You can also talk about the environment. In this article, it was a marathon which required people to run through the forest, up the hills and down the slopes and all that. You can also link it to science and technology. Basically, all you needed to do was hold controllers. You have a console in front of you, you stand in front of the TV, and you do your sports. You have boxing, you have golf, you have tennis. So you're actually playing in the comforts of your home. Then there's also something, safety as an issue, because a lot of injuries happen during sports, and that can be a career-damaging injury as well. So now we'll talk about the contest template. Use the original templates only. Photocopies are not allowed. The template will be published next Wednesday, April 13, in the NiE Pulau. So if you subscribe to NiE, or if you just order this copy of NiE, next Wednesday you will get a copy of the template. This is how the cover of the template will look like. So what you need to do is you need to write your team name there. You need to explain the concept of your PSA in not more than 150 words. Concept meaning your colors. Why do you use this color? Why do you use this angle? Why did you decide to show this thing? What's your concept? So you explain more about that. You need to explain why your message is important, also not more than 150 words. You want to know what you think. Don't churn out something that's already out there, that maybe the adults are telling you to do. We want to know your thoughts as a young citizen of Malaysia. This is your center spread. So this is where you will work your PSA entry. You can do it in portrait style, in landscape style, that's fine. But you must work within the frame. And lastly, your minimum font size, 10 points. It needs to be legible. If you're using handwriting, make sure that it's legible. And on the back page, you have the rules and regulations. Basically, things you need to know to make sure that you're abiding by the rules. But I want to draw your attention to the entry form. Make sure that there's a school stamp, there's the name of the team, and it must match the name on the cover. Supervising teacher, you need to form a team of 4 in a group, and you need to be supervised by a teacher. And remember, 4 students only, no more, no less. Judging criteria, we will look at creativity. Is it something new? Is it something you've not seen before? Strength of your message. Is this a message that's really needed? Is it something relevant? The concept, why you used these colors, these images. The quality of your entry. It could mean like the printing quality, whether the color is strong, so the quality of it. And proper use of language. Why? Because you're still an English contest, so your language must be strong, your grammar and all that. Now we come into the rewards. So there are 3 levels of rewards: school level, state level, and national level. At the school level, 4 students in a team, you submit a contest entry, and you're from an NIE school. That's why it's important to subscribe to NIE. When you take part in the contest, you get a certificate of participation, which carries total points. So if you're not an NIE school and you take part in the contest, unfortunately you will not receive a certificate. So that's why we would encourage you to subscribe to the NIE blog. In the state level, 5 best entries in each state will be selected to win the Merit Award. So 5 entries from each state, there are 14 states, 70 entries in total. So your Merit Award, you will receive a Merit Award certificate, as well as a 100 ringgit food voucher per team. But the best one of the 5 will get an upgrade to an Outstanding Award certificate. So this is the commemorative flag that we gave out last year to a school in Kuala Lumpur, a flag which has the school name as well as all the team members' names. So as you go to the school in an assembly, we'll give out these awards to students to recognize them. And from the 70 Merit Award winners, 5 from each state, we will select the best entries from the primary school as well as the secondary school category. So this is where we split primary and secondary categories. Okay, so the best ones from the primary and secondary school category will undergo an interview, and from there we'll shortlist 3 teams from the primary school and 3 teams from the secondary school to compete in finals. So out of the 70 entries that we get, that we shortlisted to win the Merit Awards, we'll pick probably 10 of the best entries that we like, and then the star will actually approach companies to say, would you like to sponsor this ad? So if a company picks your ad, your entry will actually be published in a newspaper as a National Sports Day ad for the company. So this is the entries from last year, primary school as well as secondary school. You have the company logo there circled. So it's saying that this company has sponsored this ad. So it's as if like the company is putting out this message, but it's actually created by the students. On top of your ad being published, your school will receive a 2,000 ringgit cash reward. Okay, at the grand finals, what you're required to do is a 5-minute PowerPoint presentation explaining the concept and the message of your ad, as well as a question and answer session with the judges on the spot. You will not get the questions beforehand. So after you do your presentation, based on your entry, the judges will ask you a question on the spot. Basically, they want to see how you present, how you answer, whether you're prepared. For secondary schools, it's a bit tougher. So you have your PSA in print. What you need to do is convert it into a 1-minute video version. So if your ad were to be in video format, how would it look like? As well as then you can form a PowerPoint presentation and then question and answer session with the judges. Here's a sample of the winning entry from last year. So this was their message: lace up, pace up, unity is celebrating diversity, and they decided to use shoes. So that's their concept. Champions for the primary school category, 3-day to the night, all expenses straight to Universal Studios Singapore, sponsored by the Star. And secondary school, the champions will win 50,000 ringgit straight to the UK. And this is sponsored by Taylor's University. Okay, and then the runners-up, first runner-up, for both the primary and secondary school category will win 1,000 ringgit worth of phone vouchers with the team member, also sponsored by the staff. And the second runner will win a local trip, a trip within Malaysia. So for teachers, these are your roles. You can be a contest coordinator, only one per school. And your role is basically to register the school and the teams for the contest online. You need to shortlist the top 3 entries. So you are actually the first round of judging. You shortlist the top 3 entries for the school to move on to the next stage. And then you need to manage all administrative aspects of the contest. So we will liaise with you as a contest coordinator. And for doing all this, you will be awarded a 50 ringgit hypermarket voucher. If you enroll 5 or more valid teams, so valid teams, the entry needs to come in. So if you register 5 or more valid teams for the contest, you get a 50 ringgit hypermarket voucher. So this one is not a contest, you will automatically get it. Each team needs to be supervised by a supervising teacher. You need to basically supervise the creation of their entries, so whether proofreading or advising them. You may supervise more than one team, but each student can only be a member of one team, so you cannot create multiple teams. And for your effort, you will get a voucher if you supervise 3 or more teams. And if you're in an NIE school, and this only applies for NIE schools, you will also get a certificate of appreciation. If the team you are supervising is a champion, a first or second runner-up, you as a teacher, as a supervising teacher, will win the prize too. So you will get to go to that 50,000 trip to the UK. So these are some of the important dates to take note of. The template comes out next Wednesday, April 13th. And that's also when the online registration opens. So you can log on to our website, start registering your schools, your teams for the contest. And then the last day for the entries to reach Menara Star is June 24th, and that's also when online registration closes. Redemption table, meaning all the things that your school should be receiving, the certificates, the vouchers. So coordinators, you need to check that table online to make sure that everything's correct. And then the grand finals will be in September. It's important for you to submit your entries on time, finals and all that. So if your entry comes in late, you might miss the shortlisting process. This is the contest website. You might want to list this down.
The theme for this year's contest is sports, and as you can see, it's something that's being taken very seriously by a lot of important people like Nelson Mandela, who doesn't need any introduction. And other than saying that sports have a lot of benefits at a social level, which you can see in the quote, the power to change the world, it's a mighty weapon in trying to get people to bridge and to connect people. He was also personally very much interested in sports, and if you ever had the time to read his autobiography, you'll know that around the age of 16, he was getting very serious about sports. The benefits of sports and physical activity go well beyond the social change. Let's have a look at what we're going to do. So you've been asked to do a public service announcement. There's a little trick you may want to remember, that if you'd like to fully understand what something stands for, you need to read it backwards. So let's read this one backwards as well. So we have announcement. So you're going to make an announcement, you're going to make an advertisement, a poster. Obviously, PSAs can take any medium. And then the next thing you see is serving. You are serving the public. You may be convinced that sports is an important change maker or change agent, but you also need to try and convince other people. So the communication we're looking at is persuasive. And you cannot take that for granted, because if you look at what it says here, it's a message to raise awareness, to create awareness. It's to try and impact on people's habits and behavior. Why do we need to do this? One of the main reasons is that people may not be very much aware of certain issues. They may not realize that exercise is good for you. They may not be aware that the positive impact of sports may extend into your self-esteem and your self-image. So that's why we have a phase in creating that awareness. This is a good example, and the one you see here is a poster. So make sure that when you design a poster, that you have minimally those 3 elements in it. How am I going to come up with a good headline? The one you find at the head of the poster, it's the beginning. And it's a good example here of being strong, confident in yourself. We like things to come in threes. We also like things that are being directed at us. your headline doesn't have to be a statement. It can be a question. It can also be a command, as in this case. And then we're looking for body copy. This is really, really very challenging, and many people advise in the creative industries and copywriting to do the copy first, because inside the copy you might get a good idea for your headline. And we will not leave the reader or the viewer standing there. We will finish off with a slogan, sometimes called endline or tagline. And you can see the examples here. Play like a girl. So this is about promoting sports among girls, right? Remember, 100 words is all we need. You can write, obviously, when you prepare this, as much as you like, but there has to be brutal editing. Communication is all about connecting, making that connection. So how can we do this? One of the main ways is to think about emotion, logic, and credibility. The reason why we opened this presentation with a quote from Mandela, because he has that credibility. It cannot just be anybody. So a bit of that celebrity endorsement we often see in advertising is also part of a PSA when you make that public service announcement. There's a lot of literature on this, and I'm not going to take you through all the detail, but let's have a look at, and I think we have given you the URL. So if you look for pathos and logos and ethos, you will be finding the information you need. But let's look at the top lines for each. People are often convinced when you give them facts. Facts and figures are a strong, persuasive option. If we move into the next column, we see ethos, the reputation. And when we are growing up, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, they have that reputation. So we're much more willing to change our views and our ideas when we get the message from somebody we respect. And then there is the last one, which is a bit about the passion and the drama in communication. Remember that always we are making stories. So even in a PSA, in a poster, in a newspaper article or ad, we are dramatizing a slice of experience, so there should be obstacles, there should be payoffs, there should be heroes and heroines, and that's part of your range, your toolkit, your range of possibilities. But how to choose, that's going to be a very, very, very tough. So creativity is what it is about. You see the multiple colors, it's about options, it's about divergent thinking.
What we have there in the creative formula are just 8 simple letters. The first step basically is for us to convey the theme. So before we can even think of creating that PSA of yours, I think it's very, very important for us to understand what this whole theme is about. So we can spend just a minute or two trying to understand this theme. So very clearly it says sports as a vehicle for social change. And you heard Anna speak just now, and Anna provided you quite a number of examples. Now, we cannot deny the fact that sports has health benefits, fitness benefits, and many more. So that's something that we already know. But let's explore all the other benefits, or let's look at these benefits as social change that's happening around the world. Now, you didn't know sports is being used in some war-torn countries, in some countries that are poverty-stricken, to build the confidence of children, to literally boost their self-esteem, so that they can start serving, so that they can actually live a normal life after going through quite a difficult life. All right? Sport has inspired many electronic industries and all these gadget makers to produce things that are literally changing our lifestyles. And let me just give you a little example. Now, I have with me a sports tracker, which I wear this constantly, 24/7. And what does it actually do? It keeps track of my step count, it keeps track of my sleep, and let me just tell you that this little thing that I have over here has made me lose 2 kilos in 1 month. And I'm happy for myself, clap for me. Okay? Good. How are we going to go about coming up with all these great ideas? You guys with some simple examples there. What you can possibly do, which is actually somewhat related to the next step. The first thing that you can do is to go to this website, okay, Sports Doing Good. And this is one of the many hundreds of websites available on the net. Now, if you go to this particular one, and you click on that link, organizations and companies, you will be greeted by an exhaustive, a non-exhaustive list of companies that are engaged in sporting activities that bring about social changes around the world. On the main page itself, what we have is a newsletter that's published almost on a weekly basis of all these activities. All these organizations are doing lots of things around the world, and you will know about them through these newsletters. So guys, break from the norm. Don't just stick to all those conventional things that we spoke about just now. Okay? Give us something revolutionary. Now, on the other hand, also, there are some local websites. So, for example, if you go to YR1M, which is the Yayasan Rakyat One Malaysia, and you've got two examples there, one to do with squash and the other one to do with soccer. I'm going to leave it to you guys to go and explore, and this is where you will be having a lot of fun with your team, getting inspired and coming up with great ideas. How do these large sporting events bring together nations? Now, we've got this term that's been coined, sports diplomacy. And this is where countries use sports as a tool to build relationships with other nations. And you can see from the image there, that's an NBA basketball player, Sam Perkins, who's in Indonesia. Now, this is one little example that you see over there. But guys, I'm not going to go on with this, because there's a lot more that we're going to be touching on.
These are good examples of how research is being integrated into a PSA. Because people, as I said, they respond very strongly to statistics. So if you say 1 in 7 Malaysians, and then if you think about 14, 15, 20 people you know, then you talk about maybe 3 people are at risk. So it's good to have these statistics and this information as part of your preparatory process, because you can integrate that into your persuasive message. The same thing is when you look at those, the poster to the right, which you may have seen before. You may have heard elsewhere that a good way of organizing your thoughts is by using questions. So some of these questions are given in this particular slide, because it's hard to convince people to change their behavior if they're not even aware of the problem. So you may want to plant that into people's heads. So where is the problem? What is their attitude towards it? How prepared are they perhaps to change their minds and actions on a particular issue? And then we will look for that one hook. The hook here, like a grappling hook or a butcher's hook, is meant to go right into people's brains. And usually, in order to get attention, you have to do something that will get people to react to it. It has to be catchy, unexpected, loud in some way, an arresting picture perhaps, something that will get people to respond to it rather than just turn the page if it was a magazine. So here we have a famous example of a Nike one, which has been trying to put women's sport and women's independence on the agenda. So what they do is they use a picture of a girl looking at you. So if you integrate, if you use human faces, then you always get that reaction as well. And then there is a catchy headline, "If you let me play." It's a conditional sentence, "if you let me play." What's going to happen if? So that puts a question in people's minds as well. So before you know it, you may be reading the body copy, and then you get some kind of a resolution at the end of it in the form of the tagline or slogan, which is, "If you let me play sports," using creative words and visually appealing imagery to capture attention.
So attracting your audience. If I can draw your attention to the screen. Now, this is a Boston Red Sox player. Now, when you get this set of slides, I'd like you to pay very close attention to the body copy. It's a little tiny right now, but this is the little homework that you need to do. So what we have is a very popular baseball player who tells us something very interesting here. Every minute a woman is being abused and no one says anything. And that is enough to get your attention to continue reading the body copy. So if you come up with your own headlines, you have to make sure that it attracts your readers to continue reading the subsequent elements on your PSA. So the next step here is to transmit a very clear message. Now, when we talk about transmission of a message here, you have to understand that many of us have a very short attention span. Now you have to be very, very quick in making sure that that one main point that you wish to get across is quickly delivered. Don't delay. And at the same time, I've highlighted a very, very important point there which says that you need to remind people of the particular issue or the problem. Now in this case here, this is organization athletes for animals. If you look at this particular ad, it says that preventing tens or thousands of unwanted homeless pets. If you do that simple math, all it takes is just $100, in this case here, to spay a pet. And here we have got athletes from so many different backgrounds, diverse backgrounds, different teams coming together to fight for this particular cause. And the next step, step 6, which is to create an impactful presentation. We cannot impress upon the importance of keeping your PSA to the maximum word count of about 100. Again, when you go back home, when you get a chance to read the tiny copy, pay very, very close attention to the message. Sometimes, guys, being small does not necessarily mean it's less impactful.
You know that visuals can have a very striking effect, and that's why you need to be very good at integrating. Have a look at this. Perhaps the helmet takes would be the first thing to pay attention to, but you might also see that these are, I think, American football players, and there's this contrast, a sort of an unexpected combination that will evoke strong emotions. So you may want to think along those lines of combining things that are not usually combined. Another thing I would like to share with you is something very simple, and very few people know this. How many people do you put in an ad? How many people do you use in a visual? It's usually an odd number, because in odd numbers there is drama. Slogan. So we would like to take home your poster and your message by having an engaging slogan, which you can see right here. It may not be very visible, but can you read out the last line in these two ads? It says something about swimming. And it says it's not the funniest thing to do, but it's the funnest. So there's a lot of fun in swimming. And in a very, very original, compelling way, they highlight the benefits of swimming in a visual way by combining it with the words on top, which would be your headline, learning, and obviously the pose, which is struck by the lady in the red swimsuit, is one of thinking. So through sports, we also have these benefits to do with learning and expanding your knowledge and your cognitive abilities. So your PSA should leave the audience with that message that can be summarized into a catchy slogan. The funnest thing to do. Think about all the options you have. You may want to sit with your team and generate many, many, many possibilities. So you can highlight all sorts of aspects to do with education, to do with technology, as was illustrated, also with the environment. I would also like to remind you that it doesn't necessarily have to be the biggest possible issue around interplanetary. You can also look around in your own local communities and neighborhoods and see what are some of the burning issues and where can sport make a difference. So you can keep it small. You can make it small and have a very powerful PSA about that particular problem, which even if you win or don't win, that's not the matter. You can still use that idea to make a difference in your own community.
Hi, my name is Katrina Ann and I'm an ex-national synchronized swimmer. One of the main things that English has done for my life as a sports personality is that it's allowed me to communicate with so many people all over the world when we go for competitions and to make a lot of new friends.
Hi, my name is Chailin and I'm a national swimmer. Being fluent in English has opened up a lot of doors of opportunity for me in both sports and education world as well.
Sports and English has two things in common. It unites and it drives change. I'm Stuart Ramalingam, Vice President of Dentsu Sports Asia.